These people started from ground zero and built up. They were kicked out of their homes, out of their jobs, out of the health system, out of the education system. Yet they survived. They formed the Mother Teresa Society, set up schools and houses, medical services available. I said, well, where's the money coming from? Oh, the Diaspora relatives send the money. I thought, well, we have a built-in banking system here.
They were building a country completely from nothing.
And an economy. And it's a fantastic place now.
Rolling, action.
So you were here, you spent some time, you came back, you spent 5 months, left, came back again to run USAID at that point.
Yeah.
What did you see that brought you back? What did you see that gave you hope that something could really change?
Well, I actually started during the 5 months when I was driving up from Macedonia with a truckload of furniture and computers. Along the road, things were not in bad condition.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember seeing a 6-story house under construction. It was typical, still showing the red ceramic building blocks. And I asked questions about it. And I was told, well, this is the way the Albanian Kosovars build their houses. And they build one floor, and they occupy it by the parents. Then they build another floor for the next son, and they keep going. I said, well, where's the money coming from? Oh, the Diaspora relatives send the money.
Right.
I thought, well, we have a built-in banking system here.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's not bad. And about a week later, I was driving down to the south, I think with one of the OTI people, and I saw this field with a fence around it and all this construction equipment sitting in it. And I said, stop. And I got out and I asked the man, I said, what is this? He said, well, I called my relatives in Switzerland and asked for some money, and then we ordered this construction equipment. In the meantime, the United Nations was stumbling all over itself trying to get construction equipment in to repair houses. And yet local people had already gotten ahead of them.
Right.
And the money was there to do it.
Yep.
So I thought, it's not so bad.
Yep.
So it got better after that. And as I told you earlier, we drove into the center of Pristina, and the military police for the Serbs were still there with their machine guns, but not shooting. Mm-hmm. And turned the corner, and then this crowd of happy people was crying, laughing, yelling. And these are people who had been trapped in their apartments for months, and finally they were free.
Right.
And as I told you, I smelled freedom. I had never really felt freedom that way.
Yep.
So that gave me hope also.
Yeah.
And the more I got to know the Kosovars, the more I realized that they had gone through a very bad period. For 20 years, they had been essentially living in an apartheid system where they were bottom of the totem pole. They were kicked out of their homes, out of their jobs, out of the health system, out of the education system. Yet they survived. Mm-hmm. They formed the Mother Teresa Society, collected money from people, set up schools and houses, had medical services available. So they were a surviving community. So I thought, this is going to go places. Mm-hmm. And I just kept that in mind as I worked with them. And it never stopped. You asked me a question on your form you sent me. Did I ever reach a point where I feel I could go forward? I never reached a point.
You never suspected that it could be, again, I mean, it was not clear which direction this country was going to go, right? Or if it was even going to be able to sustain itself. You never had that feeling of,
no, I was here. I knew where it was going to go.
Yeah. Well, in a way, you were controlling that outcome too, right?
I made a special point of getting to know as many Kosovars in positions of not overall performance, but party leaders, party functionaries, people who were taking jobs back in the government. Mm-hmm. And they were so pro-American. I knew they were going to, try to build a democracy here. Mm-hmm. And we had already been working with them on trying to help them along that road. I mentioned OTI, the Overseas Transition Initiatives Program, which USAID funded. They had an office in Belgrade, which moved down here right away. They were working with communities to get them organized to help themselves. And before I left for the 5 months, we had a democracy specialist on the team. I said, if you can, put together a retreat of about 50 or 60 of the future leaders of Kosovo. Mm-hmm. And I got a call one day when I was back home in Zimbabwe, can you come up and join this? And I said, yes, I'll be right there. Mm-hmm. And these 60 people, and I think there were 60, They're the ones occupying most of the important positions in the public and private sector now.
Yep.
And they knew they were going to be the future leaders.
Yeah. So you were essentially creating the outcome of how Kosovo.
Helping create the outcome.
Yeah, helping create the outcome of what Kosovo is today.
Yeah.
So if you look back over those years since you came in here in the first 5 months and then when you were the director, what do you see today as the most significant changes?
Well, of course, I see more than those years. I came back here every year since I left in 2002 or 2004, I never remember which, working with the Kosovo American Education Fund. So I saw change on an annual basis. But every time I came back here, I just saw new buildings going up everywhere.
Yeah.
New businesses starting everywhere, which didn't really surprise me because Kosovars had an entrepreneurial spirit because of those years they were kicked out of their bureaucratic jobs. They had to survive, so they started small businesses. So it all just took off from that. And then they had the offshore support from the diaspora. And at one point, I think the diaspora was sending over $500 million a year, €500 million a year, which got invested in apartment buildings and business premises.
Yep.
And you see that now. You look around the city and you see the downtown, but then around the town, there's nothing but new buildings everywhere.
Yeah. Yep. And then most of that money's coming in from the diaspora?
Well, it did come in from the diaspora. And I asked a friend last night at dinner, is it still coming mostly from the diaspora? And they said, no, it's now coming from local people who've saved money or the banking system, which is lending money.
Right.
And they have techniques. A man owns a plot of land, and another businessman comes to him and says, if we make that available in an agreement, we can start building a building, and then we sell the floors of the building to people before they're occupied.
Right.
So you have 2 apartments in the building that are yours after you finish.
Yep.
So they got money that way. So it was very imaginative financing.
Yeah.
And of course, it was a wreck of a country. And at the end of the Serb rule, I mean, it literally was a Rust Belt in the traditional sense.
Right.
They had invested in no new housing, and factories were run down. So these people, when they took all the institutions with them, so these people started from ground zero and built up.
Yeah.
And it's a fantastic place now.
Well, and that is that essence of that entrepreneurial spirit, right? I mean, that's that whole sense of building something. I mean, in this case, they were building a country completely from nothing.
And an economy.
And an economy, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so you look at the changes that have occurred. The country's what, 27 years old, 28 years old, something like that now, I think. Right in
Not
that,
quite, but
right in that range, right? 25. It's young, right? It's the youngest country, I think on Earth, and certainly among them. And you see what's actually occurred in that amount of time. It's
a miracle, really.
Yeah.
I mean, there were no institutions when they started. There were no laws. That actually, in some ways, facilitated a lot of the beginnings because people didn't have to worry about the law.
Right.
In some cases, we had to watch them if they were grabbing something that wasn't theirs.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That can be helpful when there's no law, right?
But pretty much it was all done on mutual agreement. And,
yeah.
And we very rapidly, UNIC and the European Union, ourselves and the other donor countries, moved quickly to start building the institutions and the legal system. And I think, by and large, we've succeeded. The political system.
So what's the state of the political system today?
Stalemate.
Yeah.
They've not learned that democracy requires that you talk to your opponents as colleagues and not as enemies, and that winning an election doesn't give you the right to own everything.
Right.
So they need to come around and reorient themselves. Right now, the parties all want power, but they don't want to share power. And it's a lesson that's hard to learn.
Yeah.
And a lot of democracies never learn it and they fall apart.
Yeah.
But they still have a chance to pull this around. And I firmly believe that a strong economy allows that to happen.
Yeah.
As long as they're not all fighting for a small piece of a pie, which is only that big, but they can all participate in a pie that's that big.
How do they strengthen that economy, Dale? I mean, what are What are the steps that they need to take? Because in many ways, you were part of building it from zero. Now it's, in sort of venture capital terms, right? You've heard the term 0 to 1, right? Well, now it's at 1, but how do you get it? How do they start to build it from 1 to, beyond that point?
They have to give confidence that they believe in the rule of law and that the legal system protects people based on that law. That's not always happening right now. And they need to prove that the government knows how to invest tax money properly and build the country for the future. I have a feeling that they don't have a concept of the future. They're working from year to year and don't know where they're going. And that has to change. They have to sit back as a country and think, what kind of a country do we want Kosovo to be 20 years from now?
Right.
And once they do that, they'll see that they need to get along better with each other. And maybe marriage between families will help, I don't know.
Right, right.
But they're nice people, all of them. They're not that clannish. So they just need to step back, relax a little bit, and look at what they've built already and improve on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the international community, and I include the donors and the UNMIC in that, although I've never liked UNMIC particularly as an organization. It's too unwieldy. And you had people within UNMIC who were not particularly in favor of Kosovo being an independent country.
This is what organization is this?
The United Nations mission in Kosovo.
Okay, got it.
They were the big bully in the beginning.
Yeah, yep.
They're still here, but they're not in power anymore.
Yep.
And the European Union has a similar problem. The European Union keeps coming in and promising, you will become members of the European Union, but you need to do this first. But they know that 5 members of the European Union don't support independent Kosovo.
Right.
So the European Union has no capacity to get 5 members to agree to welcome a new member, so how can they offer a future?
Yep.
So they've got to get back out of that. And Kosovo needs to be realistic and say, okay, we may not be more members of the European Union, but we can behave like the European Union.
Yeah.
And they operate with the European currency. They have good relations with Brussels that are good. They're joining a number of organizations which are supported by the European Union. And their laws. And we wrote the laws in the beginning to conform with European law.
Right.
So they're ahead of some countries that haven't even applied yet.
Do they need to get into the...
I don't think they need to.
Yeah.
Frankly, I think if they look to the future, I've told them this for many years now, you can become the Singapore of Europe. Small but independent, powerful. You need to think that way. Don't keep worrying about becoming a member of the European Union. What does it get you?
Right.
And you don't have to become a member of NATO. You've got a NATO base in your country.
Right.
You're protected.
Right. Right. You got the important part done at that point. Yeah.
So, get on with it. Become a powerful economy, and you can do it particularly using new technologies.
Yeah.
It's a country of 1.3 million now. Maybe 1.6 million. 100 million of them, 100,000 of them are still Serbs. They're Roma and Turks and others who are small minorities, but except for the Serbs, they're mainly integrated into the whole system. And that's big enough. It doesn't have to be any bigger. It's 10,000 square miles. Although I noticed yesterday in the news that a man has created a new country between Serbia and Croatia, which is some land that wasn't claimed by either.
It was like some guy's backyard.
So that's a step ahead of everybody.
Yeah. Just found some some guy's backyard. And
he's in Scotland.
Oh, funny. Sure.
Anyway, I think they need to change their mentality a little bit. They need to stop being fooled by Europe and listening always to the United Nations.
Right.
One of the big things that they were hit with right away, ethnic reconciliation.
Yeah.
How can you reconcile with the people who've just treated you as slaves for 20 years?
Right.
But they were amazingly friendly towards the Serbs. There were few recriminations and things last from the past. There were even some crimes committed, but by and large, they relaxed about it.
Right.
And the Prime Minister has just taken steps to bring the north of the country finally into the whole of the country, because they were pretty much operating out of Belgrade rather than out of Pristina.
Right.
He's been criticized for it, but I think it's what you call strong love.
Yeah.
He had to do it.
Yep. Yeah. So if you look out, I mean, I love that vision of, the Singapore of Europe.
I did too.
Yeah. What steps, I mean, if you were advising the government today, what steps would they need to take to start to realize a vision like that?
Well, they need to look at Singapore and other countries like that and how they've succeeded.
Right.
And then they need to change their act a bit.
Yeah.
They need to make investments. They need to invite investment, which they're getting. There's a lot of money around. And I told someone today that I thought the best business to be in Pristina is the one who makes all the signs for the businesses.
Right.
I've never seen so many in my life.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Time for Lady Bird Johnson to come here and say,
That's
stop.
right. That's right. Yeah.
But they just need to take a look at how it's done.
Yeah.
And stop being fooled by the nose by Europe, even by the U.S. The U.S. has not been the best player in this.
Yeah.
Different administrations have not played the game the way they should have.
Yep.
And we also have this situation where political leaders have been grabbed from here and taken to the court in The Hague, a court the United States insisted be set up. They pulled 2 prime ministers out while they were acting as prime ministers. And that doesn't go over well with people. What they should have been pressing for here is a reconciliation process, which they could have then pulled the Serbs together with the Albanians and said, look, we did this to each other, but let's be friendly and forgive the past and help each other.
Right.
So that we can all be one country. I mean, except for the language. When I look at Serbs gathering for a wedding or the Albanians gathering for a wedding, if it weren't for the language, I think we're in the same group.
Sure.
They have a culture that goes back many, many years.
Yeah.
And Turks have had a heavy influence on that culture. But, Albania, Kosovo, Serbia, Macedonia, Bulgaria, they were all part of the Turkish Empire. And then it broke up and different pieces formed. And they just need to say, look, we'll be a small country, but successful.
Right. What is in the past year, they've had that sort of, what was that very stabilizing force, I think, of USAID that was here. What is that quick retreat of USAID? What's the impact?
I haven't had a chance to talk, but I suspect it's shaken them quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I don't understand what Washington thought they were doing. But USAID costs, $40 billion a year, a fraction of the US budget. And yet it was the face of the US abroad rather than the embassy.
Right.
And the embassy is a beautiful building. I don't know whether you've seen it. It's also the same one in Tanzania, a fortress building.
Right.
But those people don't get out and mix with the people very much.
Right.
USAID had face-to-face, daily mixing with people, socially as well as business-wise.
Yeah.
So we've lost that. And I don't know what's going to pick up on it.
Yep. Is it another country that steps in? Is it, or does it even need to be? Is it just time for?
Well, it doesn't really need one. I mean, Singapore certainly doesn't have a country that stepped in, and
right.
It's Indian and Chinese. They get along all right. So the Serbs and Albanians can get along. Albanian Kosovars can get along fine. They just need to decide to do it.
Right.
And they decide that it's in their mutual interest to do it.
Yep. Yeah, it's that, just making that sort of final decision to say, okay, we're putting, it was awful what's occurred, but we're putting that behind us.
Yeah.
Do you see a political will to, whether here or in Serbia, right?
Frankly, I don't, and certainly not in Serbia.
Yeah.
I mean, Serbia rules by terror, and in their own country as well.
Yeah.
They're having riots every week in different towns there. But I don't see the will here right now. They need to really take stock. I mean, they have a chance to be a success story. But if you look at the future, the way it's going, it's not going to be a success story in 20 years.
Right.
Population's leaving. We have this program we started, and I'm not allowed to talk about
yeah, of course.
American
Yeah,
education
please.
program.
Yeah.
One of my final acts as a director was to create a program to create future leaders, not political leaders, future leaders in the society, by sending them off to the States to get training and come back and start a business or go into government or do both. And we will have finished with 3 who just started, I think 125 total who have been in the program, and they've come back and they've started new businesses, they've stepped into jobs in government and shown how things are done differently. And were inculcated in American democracy before American democracy came under threat.
Right, right.
So they believe in it.
Yeah. And I mean, isn't that, but if you look out, right, I sort of joked about you were sort of creating the future, but I mean, that's ultimately what you were doing with that fellowship program. You were creating that future leadership.
That's exactly what I wanted to do.
Right.
I mean, I know that there are a lot of people in the society who I call leaders.
Right.
And they lack, the means to be stronger leaders. But also that a lot of the people who were leaders were of a certain age group. Mm-hmm. They come back into their jobs after Serbia left and took over where they were working before. And they've done a credible job.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of what they've done. But there is a future, and you've got to move new people into it all the time.
Yeah.
We also had to get the business sector with new ideas and new technologies.
Yep.
I mean, Kosovo's future has to be in the new economy in the world, which is technology.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So if
I say that with a daughter who's in that business.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's a business I'm in too, right? It's, I mean, that's what brought me into Kosovo. It's, my business partner is one of your fellows from that, from that program, and that's what I had no connection to Kosovo. No. Until going into business with my business partner here. So that was my connection to the country. So I mean, it obviously is working. If you were to talk to investors from the U.S., right? I mean, talk to people like me who are investing in startups and investing in talent all over the world. What do you tell them about Kosovo?
Well, I'd say you have a young population who you can take on your business and can do a good job. I think they're very quick to pick up on things. Mm-hmm. You've got a legal system which is supportive of business. Mm-hmm. I don't think you have a lot of corruption, petty corruption. I think there's might be some big corruption occasionally, but you can run a business without getting involved in that.
Sure.
And it's a real opportunity. I mean, I started my career in Vietnam, not as a soldier, mm-hmm. but working for USAID of all things.
Right.
I go back that far. And I see some parallels of what happened in Thailand after the Vietnam War, because I was a Thai desk officer in Washington. In Thailand, suddenly Bangkok became a city of skyscrapers, but they were empty.
Right.
And I thought, what's going on here? And I found out that people had earned so much money, they had to put it in concrete. Mm-hmm. You have a lot of that here, I think. Concrete going up to protect investment. Mm-hmm. But that investment's going to triple, quadruple, tenfold if you start getting real businesses going.
So if you're an entrepreneur here, and this afternoon we're interviewing Code Labs, interesting company. 90% of the U.S. company, 90% of the workforce is here. Mm-hmm. How do they? Do you see that becoming more of the norm, where you start to see U.S. or other Western European countries starting to set up larger, their operations to kind of back office here?
Well, if it makes sense economically for them, yes. But there are other ways of doing business without having to build a structure in the country,
right.
Build relationships.
Right.
And Kosovo has a very weak diplomatic service, mm-hmm. which should be promoting Kosovo business.
Right.
And the business community should go and have a meeting with the foreign ministry.
Yeah.
And say, we need your help.
Right.
We'll help you, but we need your help.
Right.
And get them involved in this as well. And of course, today with the internet, you can advertise, like you're in the country. So
right.
Everything's available to you to do this. And Kosovo still has a very young population. And so you've got a workforce here that's trainable and anxious to have a good job. Mm-hmm. So I think the links are here. I live and have lived in Europe for the last 25 years, and they're nearby. Mm-hmm. I'm an hour and 10 minutes by plane from where I live right now.
Yeah.
And I could drive here on the weekend if I wanted to. My wife won't let me.
But theoretically, you could do it.
She says I shouldn't be behind the wheel anymore. But it's close.
Yeah.
And the Balkans needs to become part of Europe.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been. It hasn't been for a long time. And Turkey's, trying to hold on to it. Mm-hmm. I heard today that there are many Turks actually moving here now mm-hmm. from Turkey. Mm-hmm. So it's a mixed area.
Well, it makes total sense, right? I mean, if you're an entrepreneur here trying to, compete globally, you've got the cost structure here to be able to do it, right? It's far cheaper to build a company, to operate out of here than it is, say, Paris or Vienna or, any other, or certainly any US city.
And you've got investment capital here.
And you've got investment capital from the diaspora. You've got incredible talent and an incredible culture. I mean, that's why we wanted to do this, to do this whole series here, because it's a part of the world that, most people don't know. It's funny, when I leave the US and I come here, I have repeatedly had to tell people, I get the same kind of thing over and over, right? You're going to Kosovo? Is that safe? And you have to tell people, yeah, the war ended, 25 years ago. It's completely safe, right? But there's that story that needs to be told that's not being told yet.
Mm-hmm. Well, Kosovo was damned in the beginning by people from Europe who thought it was a hotbed of illegal activity.
Right.
France particularly is guilty of this.
Yeah.
And yet it isn't. And at one point, someone wrote an article in the newspaper that the total crime situation in Kosovo is less than in the city of Stockholm.
Right. Right.
And I lived here and walked around the streets with no fear at all.
No.
Except one night I stepped into an empty manhole.
Right. Well, infrastructure is a different story.
But nobody was trying to trap me.
Right. That was completely self-inflicted.
You also have the one thing you didn't mention, English language.
Yeah.
But you also have a lot of German language here, and a lot of French language here.
Yeah.
People capable of doing business in Europe, and a lot of connections to Switzerland.
Yeah. Yeah, I am continually amazed when I'm here, just the level of talent, just the overall friendliness, of the people, the level of talent of those people, and I'm in the middle of building multiple companies here, and it really just astonishes me that story is not out there more, and it feels like that's such an opportunity for the country to be able to.
Well, the government isn't really taking that role on. I mean, look at their embassy in Washington has an ambassador.
Right.
And maybe one or two others.
Right.
I mean, they're up against Serbia, which is a constant political problem.
Yep.
An embassy of 200.
Yeah.
And they can afford that, but they have to do better in terms of staffing
Yeah.
their overseas presence, because the ambassador should be meeting with American businesses and American chambers and discussing what the potential is here. Mm-hmm. Same in Austria, the same in Hungary, well, maybe not.
Yeah, sort of.
Germany.
Yeah.
But the message has to get out there, and it's not going to get out there, by flying through the air on its own.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's funny. I think it's telling. In doing this, we actually have no one from the government on this.
Not a bad choice.
Well, that wasn't our choice. That was theirs, right? And which is unfortunate, because I think it is there's so much underlying the asset here that really can be built on, but you've got to be able to act on it.
I have the sense that the government's not even aware of what's going on in the business community here.
Right. Right.
So particularly the cutting edge things that are being done, and having worldwide contacts.
Yep. It's funny though, Dale, as an investor, as a entrepreneur myself, as an investor myself, I don't mind that, right? So when I'm coming into a country, and I think if you're an American or you're in another part of Europe and you're thinking about Kosovo, there is something to be said for having a government that, never once, and I've operated all over the world, and never once have I haven't had, there's zero interference, right? There's zero, issue, and there is something certainly to be said for that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a downside, but it does make it easy.
Yeah. But the economy is doing all right without the government getting
Right.
too involved, and It's just, and maybe I've got to rely on the fellows who've come back on the program I was with and their contacts to try to force the issue here.
Right.
And maybe they have to be the new leaders who talk about let's have a country vision where we're going and how we get there.
Yeah.
Not for the government to do that.
Yeah.
And as USAID director, I did do that on a couple of occasions, and it worked for me.
Yeah.
But it only worked for my organization. But I couldn't do it for the country.
Right.
But I know Kosovars know their country, and they have ideas about it. They're
Right.
just never asked.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to just go backwards for a second. You started the fellowship program. Talk about how you got that started. You found this pool of money, right?
On my desk, just laying there.
$8 million shows up on your door one day.
Euros.
8 million euros shows up. Yeah.
And I got Washington's approval, and we advertised for somebody to run the program in the States who could select the fellows and place them. And we invested the money through that organization. They found an investment firm. So in the end, we had $15 million, I think. Might have been less, but. And we picked as many as we could afford each year to send.
Right.
And spread it out. I always intended for it to be 10 times that amount, but it didn't work.
Yep.
We set it up in such a way that there was absolutely no capacity to influence the selection. You applied, you were evaluated based on your application, and then we brought in people from outside who were experienced with talking with prospective students, and they quizzed them, and we selected the best and the brightest. And there are a lot of best and brightest in Kosovo.
Right.
I used to be a little concerned because there seemed to be so many geniuses.
Right.
My secretary turned out to be a genius. She got a law degree working for me, studying at night, not going to class. And then when I left, she quit USAID, lobbied the court parliament, and became justice of the Constitutional Court.
Jeez.
And that's after she helped write the Constitution.
Yeah.
At the request of the U.S. government.
Right.
So they're there.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of them.
Yep.
Not all geniuses, but very bright people
Sure.
with ideas. And they haven't been totally used.
Yeah.
And I was quite pleased once. I went over to the Ducacini Center and met someone for coffee. And it happens to be next door to the school which teaches mathematics,
Yep.
which has moved a couple times. I've never seen so many enthusiastic students in my life.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine a subject would enthuse me to one tenth of that. But
Yeah. Yeah. Then math.
so these are people who are interested in the future
Right.
and learning very difficult subjects.
Yeah.
The university has problems. The university has difficulty holding on to good professors. They have to spend a lot of their time translating books to earn money. Many of them leave the university to get a better job. And it's good. It's a prestigious university by reputation, but it isn't turning out the people that are needed here.
Right.
And you have RTK and RTI,
RIT.
Yeah, got it. That is doing the job.
Yeah.
So
you were this scholarship program was sending students to the U.S.
Yeah.
to learn, then to get university degrees, then come back.
If they could teach me, they could teach Kosovars, right?
Sure. Yeah. Same here. And now, so that the funding on that is gone,
Oh, it's finished.
right? So you put how many students to that?
100. I think there are 125. There are 3 who just left.
Right.
One of our final students is going to Harvard.
Wow.
And that was difficult getting him in, given what the president was doing with
Yeah.
entry requirements.
Yep.
And I think we have one other who went to Harvard.
Yep.
And she became ambassador to Panama. And
This is a serious group of people coming through.
Yeah.
And now you're starting a new program.
Well, since I was a child, I've had visions, ideas. I don't know why. I've always been interested in why did they develop that area over there as a park for the town?
Right.
And when my father became mayor, we didn't develop that area as a park for the town.
Yeah.
But I always had ideas. And when I finished this particular project, Cave, I thought there has to be more. And I thought about that 20-year vision. We need an educational system that could support the growth of the economy here. And we can't do it from outside. We can't send everybody abroad. The cost is prohibitive. But we have a very dense education apparatus here,
Right.
private and public. And we should take that and improve it internally bring in experts, train people locally, and turn it into one that matches a long-term strategy. On what skills do we need? What's the business community need? What's the government need? And at the end of the day, be the Singapore of Europe.
Right.
And they already have the good food that Singapore has.
Right. Yeah, food's great. Just to kind of wrap it up, Dale, what I asked you before, what gave you hope, that this country builds itself, right? When you were here, building USAID alongside the country, what gives you hope today that, 20 years from now, this country makes the right turn and continues to...
I won't be here in 20 years probably, but I think Kosovars are capable of it. And I'm hoping that the programs that we started and will start will keep that process going. And we have to make sure that the politicians become people who understand that they're working for the public, not for themselves. And they have to work together, and they have to have an idea where they're taking the country and make sure that people agree with them.
Yep. Sounds pretty much like the plan for any country, right?
Well, I grew up reading Benjamin Franklin's biography and Thomas Jefferson's writings, and I believe in democracy.
Yeah.
And I thought it was the right system.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, I came to the conclusion democracy wasn't good enough to do certain things, but it needed oversight from democracy. Education should never be the responsibility of an elected government because it has a short-term memory and planning scope, 2 to 4 years maximum. They keep changing personnel. Nothing really ever gets done.
Right.
They don't even pay the teachers properly. They don't train them properly. So you need a bigger program, which can only be done with that long-term vision and investment.
Yep. Yeah, it's the same thing that Kosovo needs today, right? Whether it's goes along education, it goes along the regulation, it goes along with everything that the country really needs today. It needs that long-term vision. It seems like, it's got all the right fundamentals.
It got the system that should work.
Right. Going way back now, right? You land in Kosovo day one. Had you been here before?
I didn't even know where it was.
Did you know what it was?
I had heard about it when I was in Bosnia doing the demining activity.
Yeah.
But even on the map, I wasn't quite sure where it was.
Yep.
And I had no idea of the apartheid system that the government in Belgrade had put in place. So when I got interested in it, I was a quick study.
Yeah. So you show up here, it's day one in Kosovo, literally day one of Kosovo. What were your first impressions?
Positive. I saw a rundown country. Buildings were unpainted, and there weren't a lot of signs of a dynamic economy. But I saw the people, particularly that crowd that I came upon, joyful, being free. And I had the people who worked with at USAID. They were so easy to work with, so happy and friendly, and they had plans too.
Right. And that was, so that first impression, the kind of those initial moments.
I never changed my mind. And I've told Kosovars repeatedly, I've always been an optimist for their future.
You're still an optimist for the future of it?
Their future. Not America's future at the time.
But theirs.
But theirs,
Yeah.
They have the capacity.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't let politics get in the way of it.
Yep.
And I give that same advice to you as an American.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I don't think it's any different in the U.S. either.